I'm here
Okay.
with Lawrence and Frank of Cryptosis to talk about the latest record, Celestial Death. The album comes out March 7th on Century Media Records. It's always a pleasure not only to talk to you guys, but to see you both, and even a bigger pleasure to talk about new music whenever the opportunity arises. How are you guys doing?
Great.
Yeah, doing great.
I
Awesome.
feel like you guys should have told me about the backdrop. I could have added the same one to mine so we would all be matching.
I could send you.
Now we're already recording, but it would have been cool. We should have done that next time. Next time I know. Next time I have you guys on the channel to talk about another record, I'll do that. I'll be prepared. I'll come prepared.
Good.
Sure.
So let me ask you guys about this. How much has the process changed, or has it changed at all from the debut record into this album when it comes down to your creative approach to making new music?
Not much. We still write, Lawrence and me, all the songs. We still work with Google Drive. We still, work on main IDs, each on their own, together.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Yeah, but I think maybe the thing that's a little bit changed is that we use quite a lot of synthesizers and choirs these days. Like we have been using this in the past, but not to this extent.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Okay.
sorry.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that I think for this record we took a little bit more time in the process before actually starting to write songs. That we took a little bit more time to collect ideas and musical pieces before actually starting to write the songs.
It's funny.
That's the difference.
It's funny that you say that because I always feel like when you're putting together a debut record, you have all the time in the world to put those songs together. But when you're creating a follow-up, there's more pressure, more expectations, and perhaps a little bit less time to do so. For you guys, was it the other way around?
No, I think you're right about this. Also, for Bionic Swan, we had basically like a clean slate. We just could do what we want. Um, and right now we had released the album, but it was also a pandemic. Then pandemic was over. We started touring, so we worked on songwriting, but not as intense as we did on the previous album. So by the time we were like getting full on in songwriting mode, it was already like 2 or 3 years after the album came out. So no, I think 2 years. So it was quite a challenge at some point to to complete it and to go to the studio. So we set ourselves some deadlines. We went on tour in Europe with Cynic and Obscura. So we said like, okay, when we come back from this tour, we're just gonna do a few tweaks, and then we just booked the studio. I think for May, and we just went for it.
The same for you, Lawrence?
Yeah. We had some time in between touring and in between shows to do some songwriting, but yeah, I think at 2023 we really picked up the pace, and yeah, like Frank mentioned, straight after the tour we put the dots on the I and then went into the studio. I think May last year we entered the studio for this album.
What did you guys learn on a negative side? What did you guys learn from Bionic Swarm that you're like, okay, man, we're not doing that shit again?
Yeah, well, it wasn't really the first time we went in the studio, so
That is true too.
yeah, I think what we learned was it was mostly in songwriting, not so much in the studio. We had more or less the same approach. But in songwriting, we like with Bionic Swan, we try to put like every note, every second, like full with notes and with music. And for this time, we just had the music breathe a little bit more. Like take the speed a little bit back. Have the music, give the music some room to have more melodies, this kind of stuff. Like I think this is the like it's the biggest thing that we changed like that we did different this time. It was more in the songwriting process than actually in the studio.
This one not being a concept record, is it easier for you guys now looking back, having the experience? Is it easier to write an album that is not a concept record that doesn't put certain restraints on you? Or there are also some incredible positives and rewards from creating a concept album?
This actually is a concept album.
Is it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, maybe not so obvious.
I mean, it feels like a theme record. I wouldn't go as far as to say a concept album. I mean, that's my take, but you guys did it. You guys know better than me.
Well, it was
Well, yeah,
supposed to be that like that, but you go ahead, Frank.
no, I can like what you said. Like it's more like a theme record, yes. Uh, but it also has an overall concept. Maybe it's a bit more abstract this time than, the Bionic Swan was really obvious what it was about. This one, it's a bit yeah, it's a bit more abstract perhaps, but it definitely has a concept.
It definitely has an underlining arch. All right, so I saw it more when I compared the two, I saw one as a more defined logical concept record from the more traditional perspective, and then
Yeah,
I saw the other one more as a theme because there is an arching theme that connects everything, but it's not like but it's not like the previous one. If that makes sense,
yeah, yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm saying.
yeah. No, you're completely right about this. Yes.
That was
It's
my
more,
perception.
yeah. I think it's more like separate chapters in one book instead of
Yeah,
one
yeah,
story.
like this one is more like Black Mirror. Black Mirror is a TV series with each and every episode it's its own story, but they're all part of Black Mirror, right? But
Yeah,
if
Right.
exactly.
but if you're watching Alone or you're watching Dark, for example, every episode is part of the concept of the arching story that it's there. So I kind of saw both of them from those perspectives.
Yeah,
In
yeah,
this scenario, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, but it's it's how we meant it. I mean, you hit the nail on the head there. That's how we intend to. Uh, that's how we intended to make the record.
Well, if that's the intention, you guys achieved it.
Cool.
At least from my perspective,
Awesome.
that's that's what I took from it. Uh, as you start to progress from record to record, do you see areas that you want to improve the next time around? That you want to try something different? That you want to go for a different style, a different texture, a different sound? Do you approach music that way, or it's more in the moment, where you guys are in the moment, and that's the creation that comes from it?
Yeah, I think exactly like this. And I think it's natural with every band. I mean, look at the old bands, Metallica, like they were young, they were angry, they made this kind of music, then they grow up, they become millionaires. It's hard to keep this pace, As with us, we also evolve in life, and we learn new stuff, we listen to different music, and thus you take all these small bits and pieces and like they become you. And when you start writing material, like automatically your fingerprint is not exactly the same as the previous album that you did, or the music that you make. And like you jam with other musicians, you learn from them. uh so yeah, definitely, probably the next album will be a bit different than this one too. Yeah.
You
And we're not millionaires, so yeah, that's
you know,
that's
and
also different.
that's a big difference. And let me tell you, in this line of business that you guys chose, there's not many. Like there's not many Metallicas of the world. Do you know what I mean?
Right, right.
Yeah, it's just an example,
Now you mentioned the tour you guys did with Obscure and Cynic, two bands that have been around for a very long time, tons of experience, tons of charisma and everything that comes with it. Do you take those opportunities when you're on these tours, not just to, showcase your music to a whole new fan base, but also to learn a little bit from those that are touring with you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we obviously know these two bands, and we have played with them before. I think we played on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise before actually touring with them. And we actually know Stefan from Obscura. He actually more or less invited us on this tour. But yeah, these are great musicians, and it was for us the perfect fan base to to present our music to. So it was a very very cool opportunity for us.
Yeah, but also you know, like these bands have been going on for so many decades, and you know, like you talk about some stuff. Let's say how things in the music industry works. Like we're fairly a new band compared to what they have been through. You know, so this way for us is also a learning experience of things that we have never thought about, and you know, like they had a bad experience or a good experience or like some strategic stuff that they do with, I don't know, royalties or whatever, you know. And for us it's really interesting to talk with them about this kind of stuff as well, backstage. And you know, of course, all the shows were really good and really great, but there's also a valuable lesson that you can, you know, that you can take.
Always learning. There's always room
Yeah.
for growth and learning, that's for sure. And speaking of growth, you guys obviously showcase growth from a musicianship standpoint, and even the way the songs are put together on this record. But I noticed that you guys kept, I believe you guys kept the same team that worked on the previous record from a production standpoint. How important is that in order for you to grow, to have a sense of sequence, so you know the people that are working with you and they know you really well?
If you're happy with a good team, why would you change it? I mean, Bionic Swarm sounds really good. Everyone that was involved believed in the band. In the next album, they also believe. So why would I change a mixing engineer, or why would I change someone else? You know, like if we're not happy with it, if we are really happy with them. And so we have our friend Olaf, who's recorded the album. He knows us already for I don't know 10 years. He's been with us on the road all these years. He saw us from like really local band, you know, growing up a bit, and he knows exactly what we're capable of. And then he just tried to push us for, you know, another extra take that's like even better than what we think that we can do. So it would be really stupid to, you know, change the winning team.
Yeah, but it is also a safe choice for us, I think, because there's pressure is a huge word, but we know that the second album is a very important record. So everything has to be right, everything has to sound good, feel good. You know, we have to have a good artwork, we have to get a good mix, good master, good engineering. So for us, it was the most logical option. Maybe next time we experiment a little bit more with music, maybe experiment a little bit more with the people working with us. Let's see.
I was speaking to someone the other day. I can't remember exactly who, but we were talking about second records being the most important record in a band's discography, because it's the album that either makes it or breaks a band. You know, you can kind of, you know, flop a little bit on the third album, even fourth album, but the second album is really the one that helps set up the band. When you going into the studio knowing that this record, I mean, Bionic Swarm was an outstanding album, so you know there is. I don't want to use the word pressure, but there is expectations in terms of what are you guys going to deliver next. Does that add fuel to the fire? Not pressure to you guys, but fuel to the fire in terms of motivating you to push yourselves to your limits?
If the Bionic Swarm got some really good response, you know, so you have to live up to that, or at least come up with something that's in terms of quality, you know, equal or even better. And personally, I'm not really busy, you know, in my mind with that. I just want to make music that I'm proud of, you know, a music that stands for quality and that's important, you know, like has a name, has a message, or you know, something that's unique, something that's different than other bands. And we also didn't want to copy basically Bionic Swarm as a in a second album. You know, like what's the point of doing that? If people like this kind of style, then they can listen to this album. And you know, we want to, you know, like we want to show that we are diverse as a band, you know, and that we are more unique than what we just did in the past. Like we want to express that. So it's not really about you know, like feeling the pressure, but you know, release that you do, you just want to make something that's really good, really great. And if you take Bionic Swarm as a start point, then I think it can only become better.
Yeah, but if I may add something, there is the one thing we did actually is we took a little bit more time to write the album because we actually wanted to release an album sooner after our debut, Bionic Swarm, because it is almost 4 years now in between. It's a bit a long time, but we really wanted to make sure that we hit the nail on the head, and we had the right ideas to make the album that we wanted to to get these expectations filled and to get our own wishes quality that we want.
It,
So yeah,
a funny thing, I'm gonna confess this to you guys. After listening to Bionic Swarm when the album came out and been listening to you guys ever since, I always thought that you guys are gonna stay within that pocket of what that album was musically. I was like, okay, this is what they deliver on this record. This is who they're going to be. They might change a few, like a minor thing here and there, but they're going to be this. When I listened to this record, I was like, wow, they're showcasing a lot more diversity than what I was expecting from you guys based on that record only. And I thought that was really cool because it just allows you to almost have no boundaries in terms of where you can go, which gives you a lot more room from a creativity standpoint, not
yeah,
being defined by how one record sounded like.
Yeah, that's exactly why we are starting. Why we started this band, Cryptosis. To be able to express whatever we want and not being bound to a specific genre or do what you say. Like write exactly another record like this. Like, of course, there's some bands who do this really well, but we get really bored with hearing the same thing over and over again. And we just want to make the music that we love. And for now it's this, but maybe the next album will be something totally different or a bit more in this style. It just depends, how we feel when we write these songs.
yeah. I think it's all about inspiration at the time. I think we're now 4 years later than when the other album came out. You're in a different phase of your life. Maybe you have a different job. Maybe you have, I don't know, you have different inspiration. Your days may look different than they used to be. Um, yeah, and you come up with ideas that fit that specific situation. So yeah, maybe the third album will sound differently. That's
Was it
100% possible.
yeah, the next album was going to be a jazz record.
No way.
I don't think you guys have that in you, but you know what I mean. It's it was worth a shot. When you look at the quality of this record, was it difficult for you guys to pick singles that would represent the album properly?
The first single that we released, Faces Matter, was a rather easy one since it basically combines elements from the old album and the new album. Like, it's basically like a hybrid song between both albums. But then we started thinking, like, what songs do we have on the album? And since like you mentioned, it's pretty diverse, we just thought, like, okay, so the first song will be a bit familiar to the people that already follow us, so they won't be like disappointed immediately.
Immediately, I love that. Not immediately, after they buy it. After they
But then, then
But
we
then we
have the
already
second.
sold it, so
exactly. Then it doesn't matter. Then it doesn't matter.
No, like the second single, we had the Reign of Infinite, which is a bit different than what people know from us. So it was more like an experimental choice for us. And then we're about to release the third single, Static Horizon, which has a bit of both of the first two songs that we just released. So like, yeah, it's some strategic plan not to scare people too much, but it also showcases like the diversity on the album. If you listen to the, let's say, the first four singles of the album, then if you like this, you can buy it. If you don't like it, then look for a different band to
You
listen.
can still buy it.
Yeah, definitely.
Just buy it regardless. Just buy it regardless. I like what you guys did with the singles. I thought the same way, and I think it's really important, especially when you have this much diversity on a second record, to have a single that at least slingshots back to the
Yeah.
previous album. I think that was genius. I think that's really important.
Yeah, what's the point in scaring people off? That have been true fans in the past, and like the first thing they hear from a new album, they're like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" Maybe they try it a second time, but if they don't like it, like it's also not a great strategy.
Yeah, right.
I agree with you guys fully, for sure, for sure. Do you guys have a favorite song on this record, or are the singles your favorite songs, and that's why they are the singles?
The singles are more a strategic choice, I think. But personally, one of my favorite songs is Static Horizon. It's a really cool song. How it turned out, I think. I'm really also into a song called Ascending. It's one of my favorites too. And like one of the ending song, Cryptosphere, because it's yeah, it's it's so technical, so fast. It could be on Bionic Swarm, maybe even. But yeah, that's I think that these three are my favorite songs.
What about you?
Ah, it changes from day to day, I would say, but yeah, Static Horizon really nice. But also, I would say, in between realities, absent presence, the more slower Doom song, I really like.
Yeah, me too.
Uh, it changes a bit, but I like Faces Matter too. For me, I mean, as a bass player, it has some extreme, like extreme parts to play, and it's really challenging. So from a player's perspective, is I have different favorites.
As a bass player, I have to ask you this. You know, bass players are perhaps the least important member of any band. How does it feel to be in a band where bass playing has such an important role?
Yeah, I don't know. Because I also am a songwriter. Um, Automatically, you put more focus on the bass guitar, I would say.
So you you help your own cause.
Yeah, definitely. No, but it's a different way of approaching writing music. I mean, like Lawrence writes from a perspective of a guitar player, so he's automatically really focused on, like, yeah, is this riff technical enough? Like, is it, does it show off enough of my skills, whatever. But for me, these things are not important. I'm looking more to, let's say, a vibe or of a specific part, or sometimes also something, like to show off, but not for a whole song. I just want to, I want, for me, the most important thing is, like, if the song from start to finish is smooth, like, does it like, does it roll well, is the groove right? Like, these things are a lot more important for me.
The way
So I write automatically riffs that are supportive to this, to this concept, instead of writing a riff and then trying to, write the whole thing around it.
the way you
I
describe.
think that
So sorry, go
I
ahead.
think this is what we did in general for the whole album. Like I think for this album we made more songs instead of riffs put together in one song. You know what I mean? So if I compare Bionic Swarm to this, I like Bionic Swarm too, but it's a different kind of album. But it's more riff orientated, more guitar orientated, and this is more like trying to make actual songs.
Songs. Yeah, I saw that as the biggest growth from one album to the other. But I love the way Frank describes your guitar playing. It's almost like you're like a guy at the gym. I can see you shirtless, facing the mirror with the guitar, like flexing your muscles, and that was the visual that I had in my mind. The way he was describing you, like, is this technical enough? Like, looking in the mirror, seeing if it's technical enough. That would be hilarious.
I should take my guitar to the gym once, maybe.
Do you listen to your own music in the gym?
We don't go to the
No,
gym.
no, no, never. No. No, but yeah, Frank, it's partially right. I think I am into things that are a bit like I need to. play impressive stuff, but I'm also I slowly got into more guitar oriented stuff that is more like, okay, what about the other guys? You know, like that's a fit together, and not a guitar only with some you know, some backings.
Like I said, I think that's the biggest growth that I saw on this record. It was a record filled with songs, not just pieces, but like songs. And I think that is a great sign of the direction you guys are taking. The last question I have for you folks is 2025, new record, March 7th, right around my birthday. My birthday is March 10th. So you guys are giving me like, well, I was gonna say you're giving me an early birthday gift, but I already have the record. So I mean, it's not really an early birthday gift for me. But what plans do you guys have for 2025 with the new album?
Touring Europe in May and June, and then in July we're coming to Latin Americas.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's something that we are working on, right now. It's already announced, but we work on the last details. We have some shows in Southern Europe, like some territories that for us are hard to go by car, like Greece, Spain, Portugal, these kind of southern places. Yeah, then it's
Scandinavia.
already, yeah, Scandinavia, Sweden, Denmark. So then the year is already at the end. So
That's a busy year.
yeah.
Yeah, we got a new album, so you have to
You have to be,
hit hard.
you gotta stay busy. You gotta work hard. I hear you, man. I hear you.
Yeah,
Listen, I wish you guys nothing but the best. I'm always here to support this band because I really believe in what you guys do, and I'm a big fan of your music and everything you guys do. Celestial
cool.
Death out March 7th, my early birthday gift that I already got. Thank you very much for taking the time today. I really appreciate it, and I hope our paths cross at some point in time because I travel to Europe quite a bit for festivals and shows. So I definitely hope to see you guys' names pop up on one of those festivals that I plan to attend this year. If not next year, but I really hope to see you guys live at some point in time. I think if the experience that I get when I listen to your music translates to a live performance, which is I believe it will, I'm gonna have a great time listening to you guys play. And I promise I
Cool.
won't imagine
Awesome.
you shirtless playing guitar. 'Cause that would be weird. That would be weird.
If you come to our show, I will leave my shirt off during the gig.
Okay, you know what? I'll go shirtless in the pit as well, so that way we all look
Awesome.
weird.
Okay,
So that
we
We'll
way,
have a deal.
connect.
We have a deal.
and Frank is like, "What the fuck is going on? You know, this show has gone sideways. This is the last time I'll have Pedro at one of these shows." Guys, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate the time. Best of luck. Best of everything with the tours, with the release, with the album. I wish you guys nothing but love. All right, take care, guys.
Thank you,
Thank
man.
you so much, man.
Thank you.